laughing. So. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your two normal starting hosts and myself, Alpha Dog Bets, here with Ben from We Beat the Spread. Don't worry, everybody. Don't worry. Jammer and JD are here, but we always come on here and break down the UFC and the MMA on Fridays before we start. Ben, before we dive into all the different plays we're going to be going over, how are you today? Happy Friday.
Doing great. It's a good Friday. Good game last night. I had the Commanders, which sucked, but cashed on some props, got my max play on the Jalen Hurts rush attempts. So fun game overall. That second half was crazy. Eagles are legit.
Entertaining game. Eagles were legit. Couple mistakes that maybe didn't happen, and maybe that game could have went a couple different ways. I mean, the Eagles took a 20-0 lead in the fourth quarter. I mean, they outscored them 20-0 in that quarter until they got a late score of the Commanders. But good game there. Good to show that the Eagles are still the best team in the NFC East. We have to adjust accordingly. Over to the comments. J-Bo is here. Good morning, brother. We appreciate you tuning in. Bill, as always, what's up, bro? Happy fight week. Big fight this week. We're excited to dive into it. Big card. Joe is here as well. What's up, Joe? UFC parlays are coming. And Logan, what is up, brother? We are here. Make sure you stay tuned to Moneyball Metrics Discord. You will get some college basketball plays that way. Unfortunately, I can tell you today we're not breaking down any college basketball, just to let you know. Today's the NFL edition, so we're diving into our full slate. Ben, it's about that time. We do what we do around here, and let's get into our UFC. So, Ben, what do you like in this card? It's an absolutely monster card. Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic. Any fights you want to break down specifically?
Yeah, it is a great card. You are right. And I saw a funny comment there from Joel. He said UFC just parlay all the favorites. Yeah, definitely last week took a lot of dogs. It was pretty much all favorites, which has been kind of the theme of some of these cards. Been favorite heavy. I do think that'll remain true in the main event. Jon Jones, I think he's absolutely going to beat Stipe Miocic. Just looking at the matchup. I mean, he's obviously a pretty heavy favorite, so that's not necessarily saying anything. So I'm going to go over to a prop to knock down that juice and not take the heavy juice on Jon Jones' money line. And I'm going to take him to actually win by submission here, which is up to even plus 230 in a few spots. I'm seeing average price around plus 200. I think that's great value here because I actually think that Stipe might try and wrestle with Jones, which I think would be a little bit of a mistake. But at this point, Miocic is 42 years old. He's been extremely inactive. He's coming off a knockout loss against Ngannou, which felt like ages ago at this point, back in 2021. You look back a few fights ago, just before he fought Ngannou, the last guy he fought before that was Daniel Cormier, the guy who's announcing now and has been retired for years. Like, that just proves how inactive he's been. And now he's 42, coming back to fight arguably the greatest MMA fighter of all time in Jon Jones. I just think it's going to be bad for him. So I do think Jones wins. I think he uses his grappling in this fight. Although he could knock him out, I do think he uses the grappling because I think Miocic tries to, take him down or something and maybe grab his neck, something like that. So I like that to knock down the juice. And then in the co-main event, you have Michael Chandler and a really good fight against Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira. I actually, really crazy enough, I know how crazy it sounds, I like over 1.5 rounds. I do think this will be maybe similar to the last fight where Chandler kind of starched him early. He got him down. He knocked him down early in round 1. And then Oliveira had that crazy comeback knockout in round 2. The second time around, I do think that we're going to see a little bit more of a measured approach from Chandler. I know he's been the crazy first-round knockout, all-action guy, but I think he actually tries to keep this fight going a little longer. It's 5 rounds. I think he tries to mix in some wrestling. And I think we get this one kind of into those later rounds, and we do see kind of more of a stylistic matchup than we just saw from the crazy explosion in round 1 last time. So over 1.5 in the co-main event, those are going to be the 2 bets.
I like that. Who do you think is going to win the co-main? I think I'm going to be taking Michael Chandler, man. Have you seen? I know you have seen, but the pictures of how shredded he looks coming into this fight. He's well rested. He hasn't been there in a while. Who do you think gets it done in the co?
I do think it's interesting looking at the money line because I do think it's priced a little steeper than I would think on Charles do Bronx.
That's what I was thinking. That's what
I think Chandler has if he actually mixes in wrestling and is smart in this fight, I believe he can actually pull off the upset. However, there is the very, very stark opposite of that in that Charles Oliveira is an excellent grappler. If Chandler's not careful, he could shoot into a guillotine so easily. If he's not careful with his neck on his entries, because if he is using his wrestling, I mean, it's a guillotine all day, every day, and twice on Tuesday. Like, it's going to be over so quickly. Yep. So I think there is kind of, the risk aspect there, but I think he can, remain smart and make it pay off. I do favor striking a little bit more.
I do as well. Any other fights you want to break down before we bring the boys in? Quickly before you do, I see a bunch of people asking about the Tyson-Paul fight, Hottie Toddy and Aiden. We're going to go over that when we get the full boys on here. That's not MMA. That is boxing. So we're going to have JD and Jammer come on and talk about that fight because that's an interesting one for tonight. But Ben, any other fights that you like before we go over to them?
There are a lot more that I like. However, they will be in the Discord. As you guys know, in the MoneyBall Metrics Discord, looking for a big card this week, and there's going to be a lot of good props on there, including the one that I already broke down in the main event, the plus 200 sub prop, which is up to plus 230 in some spots. There's going to be other props on there. It's a big card, so make sure you guys get over in there and get the full card.
I love it. Make sure you guys jump into MoneyBall Metrics. There's no better time than now. And at the end of the show today, I have a couple of promotions to tell you guys about, and I bet you guys are going to like what you see there.
Hottie Toddy, you've never heard of Twice on Tuesday before? You've never heard that expression? Is that just like a Minnesota thing?
No, that's a full expression.
Okay. I've heard that. Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, I didn't know if it was just a Minnesota thing.
Well, I think it's a perfect time to bring the fellas on. So JD, Jammer, put your shirts on. I see you back there. I'm bringing you on now. Get ready. Come on. Here we go. This is a good time to have everyone here for this question, though. So I've been capping full-time for about 10 years now, a little over 10 years. This is what I do full-time every single day. Ben, how long have you been a capper?
Since about 2017, I would say, for like actually handicapping. I was betting on sports a little before that, but actual if you want to say professional capper, 2017, 2018.
Jammer.
I've been gambling since about same time as Ben, 2017. Got on Twitter in 2020, just to get all the political news from that crazy election year, and then somehow ended up sharing my plays on there, and here we are now.
Election bets from Jammer Bets, baby. JD, how long have you been doing this, bro?
Right around 16 years. As far as professionally doing it, if you want to call it that, I would say just over 10 years now.
Yeah, similar to me. Me and JD have been doing this at a long time. You wouldn't believe it, but me and JD are both actually in our mid-50s. I'm just kidding, but we have been doing this for a good amount of time. Well, fellas, we broke down the MMA, but everybody's asking about the Jake Paul fight tonight against Mike Tyson. We'll talk about it. Anybody have anything they want to start with on this fight? Ben, you're the MMA guy, so boxing gets looped in with you as well, so you have to start it. What do you think about it?
My best advice in this fight is absolutely do not bet it, please. Okay, not serious. Well, actually, seriously, yes. But if you want to bet it for fun, do it for fun. But I mean, like, this fight to me is just with all the rules, the 2-minute rounds, the glove, the higher weighted gloves to probably take off maybe a little bit of power. It might make a little bit of a difference. No official decision at the end. It's kind of just a show fight. Like, I don't think there's necessarily a smart way to put a lot of money down on this. If you want to bet it for fun, bet it for fun. If anything, sure, take Mike Tyson by KO because it's probably in round 1, if anything. And then, the dude's in his mid-50s. He could fall off a cliff from there.
Late 50s.
Yeah, 50s. And Jake Paul, I mean, we've seen him knock out some older guys, so maybe he does it again. He's been fighting a lot of those retired MMA guys. This does have a little bit of a different feeling because he's a retired boxer and probably one of the best, if not the best boxer of all time. So it's a little bit different than those retired MMA guys. But I would say round 1 KO for Tyson might not be a horrible bet. But don't put a lot of money on it, please.
I'm going to reiterate what Ben said. Do not put a lot of your hard-earned money on this fight. Enjoy it. It's interesting. We've never seen a professional fight like this between a legend like Mike Tyson and a YouTuber. The only difference is that makes this competitive is that there's a 30-year age difference. So nobody knows how this is really going to go. Nobody has seen something like this ever happen. The only thing I'll say is Mike Tyson couldn't even get ready for camp the first time. They had to postpone this fight for six extra months because he had a bunch of medical situations pop up. I'm probably going to throw, realistically, this is how I'm going to handle it. I'm probably going to throw $25 on Mike Tyson and scream at my television and hope he knocks the hell out of Jake Paul. That's how it's going to go for me. But I would definitely not recommend putting a big amount of money on this fight. Aiden is asking in the comments, would this hurt Tyson's legacy? No. He's 60 years old. He retired 400 years ago. This isn't going to do anything to his legacy. He's always going to be one of the GOATs in boxing. And I just don't think this one is something you're going to want to put a lot of money on. We've seen how these fights have gone before. Sometimes it looks like someone takes a dive against Jake Paul. That could happen. We just don't know. So for me, I'm putting $25 on Mike Tyson, and I'm screaming my head off at the television. JD, anything from you?
Yeah, no, this is a fight that I would definitely not bet. Y'all just said all of the reasons why. Everything for Jake Paul, everything is made to actually help him.
Yeah.
Really here. And but no, I am gonna watch the fight, and I hope Mike just knocks his fucking head off.
I mean, that's the draw, right? I think that's how most people are watching this fight. Unless you're somebody who's like 21 years old and you're all about the Paul brothers on YouTube or whatever the hell they're doing, most of us want to see Mike Tyson knock his effing head off. At least I do. Jammer, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my only opinion is if you put money on Jake Paul, you're likely to win, but I just hate you. Like, I want to see you lose that. We all want to see Mike Tyson just give him the old 1-2 right in the face, knock him out, but I don't know. The minus 200 for Jake Paul just seems almost too easy.
It's even lower now. It's even lower now.
It dropped below 200. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see him just take a fall. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see. Well, that's going to do it for the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson breakdown. Let me tell you something, fellas. When I got into this industry, I never thought I would be getting on talking with the boys about Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul. But here we are on Friday, November 15th. It's a reality, so everybody enjoy it. It's at least going to be something interesting. I'm at least interested to see how the hell this is going to go in. I feel like I'm definitely going to be tuning in. It's one of those where I want to see the chaos. I got to turn it in. I got to see what happens. So we'll see what happens. But let's move on, fellas, because we're going to get into the recaps from yesterday. We didn't have all you guys on here, so let's get into the Thursday recap. I went 1-1 on the day. Commanders could have got it done, but they did not. My free play lost. My one play to VIP won, so it's a 1-1 day for me. JD, how'd you do yesterday?
Well, our ECU team total over got actually hooked. If you watch that game, they played like shit and still got to there. They left so many points on the field. So that was a play that I would play over and over again. But besides that, college basketball board swept that. Was actually 6-0 there. College basketball stays insanely hot. College basketball sides, they're doing great. They're actually 30-12 now. So yeah, we're just going to keep on rolling there.
Keep on keeping on. We love to hear that. Jammer.
1-0 in the NBA last night, 0-2 in the NFL. Couldn't get there with the Commanders team total, and Noah Brown couldn't find the end zone. So a small half-unit loss last night. But we're looking at the positives. 1-0 in the NBA. We're hot.
We make it back on that max play on Mike Tyson tonight, right, baby? Let's go. Ben, how'd you do yesterday? Oh, we went over it. I asked you in the first one. So you're good. You're not going to have to repeat it again. I won't force you to do that. JD, what do you got for me?
You know what? I'm looking back for the comment. I think it was Logan who's asking about a college basketball play. I believe here. Yeah, Logan, let's actually get you an early play. I believe it goes at 4:30 Eastern time. Let's go with some teams here that actually everybody knows very well here. Let's go with Sacred Heart. They are actually playing Holy Cross. And actually, let's go the over 151 points there.
I like it. I know nothing about either team, but I'm going to tell you I like it, and I'm in. There you go, Logan. We did get a play for you in college basketball. Fellas, it's long overdue. It is time. We get into the NFL breakdown, what this show is all about, and let's get into game one. For this, it's going to be the Minnesota Bens taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Vikings are coming in 7-2 on the year. They are 3-1 on the road. Titans, opposite record, 2-7, also 1-3 at home. So polar opposites here. We all know the story with this Vikings team. Had an interesting win on the 10th against the Jaguars, 12-7. They beat the Colts the week before that. And before that, they did lose 2 consecutive games. This team did start out 5-0, and they've kind of slowed down a little bit. This Titans team, Bit of a disaster. They've had a pretty lousy season this year. Points scored to points against. They've given up about 100 points more than they've scored this year, which is not a good stat at this time of the season. It's only week 10, so that means they're getting outscored on average by 10 points per game, which is definitely not good. Ben, we're going to go over to you, our Minnesota Vikings expert. What do you like in this one?
There is absolutely one play you should have in this game, and I know you guys are expecting me to say Vikings -6. It's not. We've seen the Sam Darnold regression already kind of start. Aaron Jones is questionable. Oh yeah, we actually did miss something.
I forgot.
Yeah,
That's on me.
I'm glad Diamond Dog's on top of it. I hate you for that, but
Diamond Dog, you are the GOAT. So hold on one second, Diamond Dog. We all know there's something that needs to get
I'm out.
time out. JD, should we get out of here?
yeah, on the field.
JD, we're gonna get out of here. Good luck, gentlemen.
Cluck, cluck. I still won you some bucks.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Jammer with going with the glasses and the hood up. Didn't see that coming. I like the style you threw into that clock. You went for it. I know the viewers appreciate it. And Logan, or who said it? It was Diamond Dog. Thank you, Diamond Dog. We love you, brother. Me and JD especially. Back to the game. Go ahead, Ben.
Oh yeah, right where I was leaving off. We have started to see the Sam Darnold regression. They didn't score a touchdown against the Jags last week. Could have been a little bit of an outlier, but they also only hit 21 points against Indianapolis. And now they're facing a Tennessee team that, to their own credit, they have had a very good defense. In fact, they are number 1 in quarterback passing yards per game allowed in the NFL. Their secondary's played well. And then you have Aaron Jones, who's showed up on the injury report with that rib injury. Although he did sustain that hit in the middle of the game last week and still ended up playing, but maybe the day after it flared up, who knows? He's questionable. He's been limited in practice. And then on the other side, you have a team that absolutely has no quarterback. Will Levis has gone over 200 passing yards once this entire season. They are 31st in passing yards per game. And what's the weakness of the Minnesota defense? The secondary. And now they have to go up against a not-so-great quarterback. They have a very, very good rushing defense, and Tony Pollard's questionable. So you have two offenses that I believe are going to be completely stymied in this game. It feels like just a sludge type of game. I think under 39.5 is absolutely the play in this game. It's the only play I would play in this game. I wouldn't touch the Vikings spread with a 10-foot pole, just given what we've seen last week and even the week before, even though they did technically cover in that game, still just wouldn't touch their spread.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that. And then you look at the other side, guys. The Titans are the worst cover team in the NFL. They may be the worst cover team in NFL history. They're 1-8 on the year. They've covered 11% of their games, so they're just not getting it done. And they're not even getting close to the cover. On average, they're missing the cover by at least 6 points per game, so they're not even getting in the same ballpark. For me, I feel the exact same way you do, Ben. I absolutely love the under here. Currently, you get it at a 40.5, so I'm going to take that extra point there. So give me the under. I think we're going to see a defensive battle. And you put it perfectly. There are a bunch of injuries in this game. On the Minnesota side, Aaron Jones might not go either. As somebody who has him in fantasy, I'm really hoping he does, but he may not go. So I'm waiting to see the injury report here. I've got most of the practices today where I know who has basically practiced today and who hasn't. So if I catch any more, I'll put them up in the show. But as of now, nothing on this one. Under for me, but nothing on the injury front for Aaron Jones. Jammer, what do you got?
So I took a little deep dive into this game over the week. I had a capper buddy who's in a survivor pool. He's one of like 80 left out of 12,000 going for $1 million. And he's thinking about putting his life on the line with this Vikings team this week. And I kind of talked him off a cliff this week. He's between three different teams. The Vikings was one of them. I kind of talked him out of it because to me, this Titans defense is kind of scary. And I don't want to see them at home with Sam Darnold the way that he's been playing the last couple of weeks. If this was Sam Darnold in the first 3-4 weeks, whatever it was, whenever he was going crazy, I'd probably feel a lot more comfortable with it. But I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be a defensive game. And I think that unders the play. It's very scary if Aaron Jones doesn't play. I know I took him out of my starting lineup for Scary Terry last night. It might be a big mistake. It might not be. I got like 2 points out of Terry last night. But I don't know. Just pray for my buddy that he makes the right choice this week. I hope he doesn't go with the Vikings. I think it'd be a little scary one. I 100% would not be taking them on the -6 line. But if Tennessee started anyone but Will Levis, I mean, put Mason Rudolph in there, I'd probably be all over the Titans, but there's just nothing that impresses me about Will Levis under center. He doesn't look poised back there. He's making mistakes, throwing picks. He has some of the most epic photos that we've seen in sports in recent history. He's just kind of like a walking meme out there on the field. So for me, no play officially, but I would lean towards the under.
So what you're saying is sometimes the best play is no play. Jammer is doing it today. JD, how we doing? What are you taking in this game?
Looks like everybody likes the under here.
Oh, boy.
So,
Oh, boy.
no, the under here does actually make a lot of sense. To me, it has been bet down, I think, probably a little bit too much. I do show value on actually the over, but that tends to point me more towards the Vikings team total over here. It looks like Darnold hurt his hand this actually past week. Kind of waiting for some more news on actually that, and actually then the Aaron Jones news. Basically just a lot of news, just kind of waiting on here. But if everything is good to go and you can get their team total, if it's under 24, I actually would play that one.
Yeah, they've been scoring a lot of points. They've just been giving up a lot on the other side, but we'll see. More to come on that. And JD, I'm sure you'll have this posted in the Moneyball Metrics Discord for anybody who wants that pick as he makes it official. We have sales to be announced later, so make sure you guys are paying attention. And J-Bo is right. JD is the team total GOAT. We all know that. Ben, question for you from Aiden.
That's tough because they're in a pretty good division. The Packers are even creeping up on them. Like a Packers win this week and a Vikings loss would put them ahead. And obviously the Lions above them. So it looks like it'll probably be a wild card spot, which isn't the worst thing. It's just like, I don't know. The NFC can be tough right now.
Everyone makes it. The Vikings are currently minus 750 to make it.
Yeah, and you got to think like Washington's most likely going to take one. And then you have, the Packers who could easily pass them as well. So I think they are, but also, there's still a lot of season left. There really is. But
couldn't agree more.
The schedule and everything. Yeah. I don't honestly, I know they're 7-2 right now, but I think it's 50-50. I really do.
I'll sum up what Ben just said. Yes, they will make the playoffs. Everybody makes it in the NFL this year. There's so many more they added an extra wild card team.
The Giants are making it too?
No. The Giants aren't even in the NFL. They are in the CFL at best with their talent level. So we're not going to be talking about them today or ever again. Over to the comments. Again, Jess is asking if JD, can we have your favorite college basketball game? JD, I heard you were going to give that out for free today in the Moneyball Metrics Discord. Is that correct?
Sure. Yeah.
There we go. So Jess, tap in for free. It's free to join. It'll be in the free plays tab. You can get JD's best play today. Let's keep it moving, fellas. Next game we're going to be breaking down is going to be the Packers taking on the Bears. Let's dive right into this one. Packers coming in 6-3. They're 3-1 on the road, taking on the Chicago Bears, who are 4-5. They are 4-1 at home, but got to be honest, they still have Matt Eberflus as their coach. So how good can this team really be? Let's dive into it. JD, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm going to make this one pretty quick here. This Bears team, the way everything's going with them right now, I just cannot back them. There's just no way. Then on the other side, the last time that we saw Love, he was not moving well. And that's a big part of his game, and that's why we like him. They are coming off their bye week. So actually, he has had some time here. I need to dive into this game a little bit more, just to see how Love looks now. If he is looking like he can move around some actually more here, this is a Packers play. Probably actually like a parlay piece. Is actually probably what I would do here. But for right now, that is all I have.
JD, you put it perfectly for me. This is a parlay piece on the Packers money line or an underplay for me. I do think I'm going to end up taking the Packers money line in my parlay, so I'll have that free posted on my X account. You guys know where to find me. But it's impossible to back anything on the Bears side right now. It just feels like the Bears are about to have a collapse. You know the coach is on the way out. You know, the players are starting to turn a little bit on the coach. You're seeing it. They're not scoring. Their defense is playing well. That's the only thing you can say about them. The team apparently had internal discussions this week to bench Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. You guys know on this show how I feel about Caleb Williams. I am not a big Caleb Williams fan. That being said, that is the dumbest thing in the world that they even had that conversation when they have the worst offensive line, maybe ever. He's getting hit more than anyone ever. They knew going into this year they had one of the worst offensive lines in football. So what does this team do? Let's go trade for Keenan Allen. Let's draft Roma Dunze. Let's get zero help for a rookie quarterback who's going to need to be protected. So I thought Ryan Poles was doing a great job. Maybe he's not the GM of the Bears because this team has a lot of holes for them right now. So for me, it's definitely either going to be an under 40.5 play or a Packers money line. Like I said, I am leaning Packers money line. I will have that posted when we get closer to Sunday. Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, this is a really tough game for me. It's not necessarily a no play. I actually think I lean the Bears, as crazy as it sounds. It's not a full play for me. But just given everything that's going on, the fact that, a few weeks ago, they were 4-2. Life was going great. Life was beautiful. And then all of a sudden, a Hail Mary happens. They lose. They were going to be 5-2. And now all of a sudden, they're 4-5 coming off their worst game of the season, not even scoring more than 3 points against the Patriots. So it's like, really, I think that I don't know what that Hail Mary did to the locker room, but it must have killed something because they've scored 12 points over the last 2 weeks. However, I don't think it's necessarily a hole they can't climb out of. Williams has had good flashes. We act like we haven't seen anything good from him, but we have. We've seen him score a lot of points in certain games. We've seen him have some good wins. They've beaten some bad teams, but the Packers are in the middle of this. To JD's point, Jordan Love wasn't moving well last week. You have perhaps an even bigger injury, Josh Jacobs, who has a real potential to miss this game or at least not be 100% with a quad injury because he's questionable, limited at practice. If he plays, he most likely won't be 100%, which is a big injury for them. He's 4th in rushing yards allowed, and he's been a big piece of their offense. As good as their receivers are, I feel like he's been one of the stars of that offense. So I really feel like this is a game. It's a divisional game. It's 5.5 points. You just need to be somewhat close. We've seen crazy divisional games this year and every year. They always are crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears kind of rally together at home here after a few tough losses. I don't think their season's necessarily over. It'd be a really tough stretch to make the playoffs, but just getting some more confidence for Williams. I know that their offensive line has sucked, but he can be creative with his feet. So I'm actually going to lean the Bears plus 5.5 here.
Interesting take there. Jammer, over to you. We also have a couple questions in the chat before you break it down. Who's calling the offensive plays, and who is the interim OC from? Old role on what team?
It is Thomas Brown, I believe, as the interim. And the last thing I actually saw was that they don't know yet. I would assume they know today, and I just haven't seen an update. But between Eberflus and Thomas Brown, the last thing I saw was that they don't know who's going to call the plays yet. But I would assume it's going to be Eberflus.
There we go. Jammer, what do you like?
Man, this game is just disgusting that we're even talking about it, but it is a big divisional game. There's a couple big divisional games this week, one that we'll be talking about later in the show, but two of the most storied franchises here in the NFL. I just can't believe what's going on with this Bears team. I mean, Ben described it perfectly well. I mean, they could have been sitting at 5-2 here, and we're talking about this Bears team completely differently. I mean, they have a great defense. The run, sometimes they can't stop the run, but other than that, their defense has been playing pretty well, to the point where they could be one of the top teams in the NFC North. But as Ben said, that Hail Mary, man, just completely changed the trajectory for this team. Yeah. Someone mentioned in the chat, there's rumors about veterans saying that they didn't want Caleb Williams to be starting. Yep.
Right here, howdy toddy.
So it was either one, bench Caleb Williams, or two, fire the offensive coordinator, bring in Thomas Brown. So it seems that they went to bat for their starting quarterback, and they kind of have this belief in Caleb Williams. But as a resident Steelers fan, we know that sometimes making that offensive coordinator change doesn't turn your team around right away. We saw it last year with Matt Canada. They made the switch. The offense still kind of looked the same until this year, where we bring in Russ and Justin Fields. But for this Bears team, it's just you can't really put a lot of faith in them, especially with this quick change at the offensive coordinator. You don't usually see the mid-season changes and it kind of turn around, the next week. So
go look at the Jets.
Yeah.
Go look at the Jets. They fired their coach. They changed the play caller to Todd Downing, and they've been absolute garbaggio since that happened.
Yep. So, I mean, if anything, Packers will be a parlay piece for sure, but it's a wait and see kind of thing for me. I'd like to see. I mean, the offense is stacked. So it's like you think if you just put someone in there that's competent, knows how to get the pieces moving around. But for me, it's a wait and see kind of deal. No official play.
You need an offensive line in the NFL. You are not going to be successful if you do not have at least an average, serviceable, something you could work with. It's not that. Their offensive line is so bad that he has no time back there. And I'm the biggest Caleb Williams hater there is. I went on rants all offseason before the draft saying I think he's going to be a huge bust. I don't think he's going to be the guy. Granted, I also did not think Jaden Daniels was going to be the guy, so who the hell am I? But it's not his fault, realistically, when he doesn't have more than 2 seconds in the pocket. They just put a horrible offensive line out there for him. But let's keep it moving. We got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Pittsburgh Jammers. Jammer, I got to let you intro this one. What do you got? You were very right on Pittsburgh winning the game last week. Good call on that. Bad cluck bet. That's on you. Hate to see it, but we're back to another Steelers game. What do you like? Well, there we go.
I'm so shocked.
Are you saying anything, or is that the whole breakdown?
Is that your breakdown?
Is that it?
What is it?
We're good with it. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, let me in. Do you want to say something, Jammer? No?
Obviously, I'm itching at the bit here.
Go ahead. What do you got?
You guys able to hear me? All right, Let's do it. I mean, I kind of alluded to it earlier. This is the prime matchup of the week. The best division in football, the most fun games to watch. Pittsburgh versus Baltimore Ravens. And to me, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm a little scared, but I have full faith in my boys. The only way that you can beat this Baltimore Ravens defense is getting behind that defensive secondary. And this team has allowed more 20-yard passes, more 25-plus yard passes. They just allow the deep ball to go. But my only worry with the Steelers is going to be the run game. Baltimore Ravens have one of the best rush defenses in the league. And we all know that if the defense stops the run, that stops a lot of your offensive momentum, puts you in obvious passing downs, eliminates the play action, eliminates, having the defense on their heels, not really expecting what's going to come from the offense. So I'm kind of scared about what Russell Wilson's going to do without the, in the absence of the run game, if they're not able to get that going. I know Najee's a little banged up, but
has yet to practice. That's one on my list. Has yet to practice.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a lot of faith in Jaylen Warren, but if we're going to be honest, like this Baltimore Ravens defense is physical. I know that they've kind of gotten pushed around this year. They're not the typical, top in the league Ravens defense, but they're still a physical bunch out there, and Jaylen Warren's just not built for that physical type game. That's why you have the Thunder in Najee and then the Lightning in Jaylen Warren. We need both of them to be healthy and playing in this game. But that Russell Wilson deep ball, man, I still have dreams about that. Just watching that Mike Williams pass at the end of the game. Calvin Austin gets hurt. New Mike Williams steps in, gets that deep ball. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pass. Russell Wilson's looked great. But this +3, like if I'm going to take anything, it's going to be +3.5. I'm buying that half point every single time in a Steelers-Ravens game because these typically come down to a one-possession game. Could be a field goal game. Justin Tucker, Chris Boswell, two of the best in the league. If I was going to take anything, I got nothing on the spread and the total right now, but if there's going to be anything I'm going to take, it's going to be one of the Steelers' long receptions. I was looking last night. They didn't have a lot of options available for the Steelers. It was just George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth. I'm going to be looking to see when the books start dropping some other options, such as Calvin Austin and Mike Williams. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to be eyeing those up. I might look at Najee Harris under rushing as we get closer to game time, because I'm very scared that we might not be able to get our rushing going in this game. I think we might see a lot of passing back and forth. But for me, it's going to be the long receptions against this Ravens defense. They allow more deep balls than any other secondary in the NFL. So for now, we're on a kind of a little waiting list. You're going to have to check out Twitter for those other plays, but I think that's a good point to start.
Yeah, I agree with you here. And one thing that you didn't bring up is that Baltimore has the worst pass defense in the NFL. No team has ever won the Super Bowl with having the absolute dead last passing defense in the NFL. When you take a look at yards allowed per game via the air, Baltimore is allowing 31 more yards than the second worst team in the NFL, which is Tampa Bay. They're allowing 300 yards per game via the air. I think we're going to see a big performance from Pittsburgh. I'm taking them as well at the plus 3.5. I'll let it out early. It is a best bet for me. Jess, you had to beat me to it. You're right on my favorite play of the week as well. I am taking Pickens anytime touchdown. I've been saying that all week here. We all know what's going on with this Ravens defense. They need to force a turnover, and they're dominant on offense. But they do give up a ton of points and a ton of yards. George Pickens, when you give him a one-on-one in the end zone, he may not be the best receiver at creating space, and he's definitely not. That's why he didn't get drafted as high as he probably wanted to. He's not a great route runner. He's not great at creating space. But in a jump ball situation on a one-on-one, he's arguably the best in the league. He is unbelievable at going up, high pointing the ball, and bringing it down to get a touchdown in a one-on-one situation. So I do think we will see that. Give me Pittsburgh plus 3.5, as well as give me George Pickens. Both are official plays for me. Ben? That make you happy, Jammer? That make you happy I'm on Pittsburgh this week? Very good. Very good.
Made a mistake last week.
Alpha, I'm glad you
Did we? Because what happened earlier?
I don't know. I could have swore I saw a Commanders money line somewhere. I don't know.
I don't know who did that.
I don't know either.
Well, I'm glad that Jammer brought up the rushing defense because he's right. Baltimore definitely has a good rushing defense. But then Alpha brought up the point I was going to make in that the fact that it doesn't matter because the Ravens give up way too many passing yards. Alpha brought it up, worse than the league in that, and they're 27th in yards allowed overall. There's always talk about their defense, but they really haven't been that good, and it's kind of lost them some games and gotten very, very close to losing some games like that Cincinnati game that they absolutely should have lost, but they got it to overtime and somehow got the turnover and won. That was a crazy game, but it's just one of those things where Pittsburgh is really hitting their stride right now. Russ has made 3 starts. He's looked great in all 3. He's coming off the best win of the 3 by far, beating Washington outright on the road. Now he comes
They
home.
beat the Giants, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Both New York teams.
Great win there. But now they're coming home and getting points. Mike Tomlin, you do not give him points, especially at home. He's one of the best coaches running in the NFL right now as a dog. And then you add in the fact that they're at home where they've played better under his career by far. It's just like it seems like a perfect storm for a huge Pittsburgh win here. Just trending in the right direction right now with Russ at the helm. And, Baltimore has the better record necessarily overall, doesn't have the better record overall. They have the better run before Russ came. But it's just like it feels like Pittsburgh it's just their time right now. They're just playing so well with this defense. And to the defensive point, I also have a prop in this game. Steelers plus 3. And then I'm also taking not Russell Wilson, the other quarterback, Lamar Jackson, under 43.5 rushing yards. I talked about it last week when breaking down the Washington Commanders game. I said they will absolutely contain Jane Daniels. They've contained quarterbacks all week. What happened? He rushed for 5 rushing yards, by far his lowest of the season, by far. And then, Philly only gave up 18 too, but there was nothing he could do in that game on the ground. And then you look at the week before that, Daniel Jones, who's had some great rushing games, and he's known as a guy who can run. He was absolutely stymied. 1 rushing yard against this Pittsburgh defense. They are not giving up yards to the quarterback. They are lowest in the NFL in yards allowed to the quarterback on the ground. So I think Russ goes under. Or I keep on saying Russell Wilson. Lamar Jackson goes under. And he's also dealing with that knee injury, which is a great point to bring up. So I think that's a great play.
Jammer, looks like you want to add something. There you go.
What about the missing Alex Highsmith? Are you nervous about that? I mean, that's one side of the two-headed monster there with TJ and him.
Yeah, it definitely matters, but I don't think it matters enough because they also just added a new piece on their line. Exactly. So I think that it was Preston Smith, right?
Yep. Yes.
Preston Smith. Correct.
So adding him, I think, will be enough to, obviously he's not Alex Highsmith, but their line is already so good that I don't think. Obviously, it's a big blow, but they have a lot of other great pieces. So
and
he'll be back too, right?
Nick they're saying Alex Highsmith 2 to 3 weeks potentially, and Nick Herbig should be back. We're all hoping he's back this game because he's also a game changer in there. He reminds me of an old Mike Hilton. Every time he gets on the field, he's just making plays.
On the contrary, though, we may not see Kyle Hamilton in this game. If I had to guess right now, gun to my head, I had to pick if he's going to be in or out. I'm saying out, and I'm pretty confident about that. I don't think we're going to see Kyle Hamilton in this matchup for Baltimore.
That would be huge.
JD.
All right. Start off with last week, I started some shit when I said the Steelers defense was not great. I've been hearing it in Discord, Twitter. I've been like hearing it everywhere. And I'm going to stand by what I said. The Steelers defense is good. They are good, but they are not great.
Oh no.
And I am going to stick with that. With that being said, this like game every single year is always an under game. Like these scores are always like insanely low. They're always super close. And this is a new year. This is a different Ravens team, much different Ravens team here. The defense, yes, is not very good against the pass, against the run. Just like she all said, they are the best. But going back to their defense, like I said, their defense it actually is good. But this Ravens offense is just even better. They're not going to be able to hold this actually Ravens offense down here. And going back to their defense, just like we just talked about, they're going to be able to stop the actual run here. So this game is going to be on Russ. This is just going to be an actual Russ game here. And actually, like y'all said, as far as his deep balls, a couple of them have looked good. To be honest, in my opinion, a lot of them are really fucking bad though. They're all being tipped around. I just don't think that he can keep doing that, and Steelers just keep coming down with them every single time.
I have wet dreams of these deep balls, man.
I bet you do. You know what? As far as my numbers go, I have this on the other side of actually 3 here. When it comes down to it, I just think the Ravens are going to be able to score more points here. And I don't think the Steelers are actually going to be able to actually keep up. Going to be on the other side of actually all y'all here. Give me the Ravens -3. Also, give me the Ravens alt line at -6.5 at +146.
Time out.
This is all
Time out. Jamer, that's your response. Love it. I have one question for you, JD. I have one question. At 3.5, not 3. At 3.5.
Yes.
3.5.
3.5.
All right. 3 on 1. I won 3 straight. We're not losing. Steelers are taking this. JD, we can't wait to see you cluck, brother. We cannot wait. Let's keep it moving, fellas. We now are going to go over the biggest game of the weekend. We got over the Pittsburgh Jammers. We got over the Minnesota Bens. We're not talking about the New York Alpha Dogs. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Buffalo Bills. Guys, game of the week, regular season game of the year, potentially 9-0 Kansas City, 4-0 on the road, taking on the Bills. We're 8-2. Also, they are undefeated at home. We all know what happened last week with the Chiefs. They should have lost. Will Lutz had a 35-yard field goal to win it, but the Chiefs blocked the kick to win the game in regulation. We're going to start with you, Ben. What do you like about this one? Biggest game of the week.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is absolutely the first game the Chiefs lose.
Let's go.
It's not even – I honestly thought this might end up being the cluck bet, but the fact that Kansas City is an underdog, they're a public underdog. They're 9-0 – or sorry, 10-0. Everyone's just loving them. Or sorry, 9-0.
9-0. I was right. 9-0. Give me some credit. I said it right.
I corrected myself to the wrong thing. 9-0. But you just look at the games. Like I know everyone's kind of talked about it. Like, oh, they're getting lucky. They're winning. They're number 1 right now in NFL luck rankings, and that absolutely lines up with pretty much every game they've played this year, except for maybe the New Orleans game and maybe the Niners game, even though that was a hospital game where there was no Debo, still no Christian McCaffrey. Arguably, their greatest win of the season is over the Saints. Like, that's the kind of season they're having, and somehow they're undefeated still. And it's just like, I don't see it. I don't think anyone's seen it. Mahomes is still somehow up there in the MVP race, even though before a few weeks ago he had more interceptions than touchdowns. Like, I don't know what we're seeing with this team that makes us think they should be favored on the road. Like, it just makes no sense. I get Josh Allen folds every time. Like, I get that argument, but this Buffalo team.
It's not true, though.
I don't think it's necessarily
Who's
true.
won the last 3 regular season games? 3 in a row.
Regular season games, and the one in the playoffs, let's not forget, was a coin flip away from giving the ball to Buffalo on the road in Kansas City in the playoffs to beat them. And then, of course, the coin flip and everything, which is how, by the way, 2 weeks ago, they should have lost the Buck. Well, I say
Yeah, it's tough to say, yeah.
but another.
No, they should have because they picked tails instead of heads. Everyone knows you pick heads. You don't pick freaking tails.
never fail.
Daniel Jones, of course, is a tails guy, by the way. In overtime, of course, he picked tails. I was screaming, of course, you're a tails guy.
I should have prefaced this by saying the Buffalo will win this game 9 times out of 10, unless there's a coin flip overtime and then it's Kansas City all the way. Live bet Kansas City if this game goes to overtime, by the way. But yeah, I just think this is the Bills all day long, and we just haven't seen it from the Chiefs all year, and there's no reason they should be favored on the road in this spot.
I'm in the same boat as you, Ben. I'll keep it short and sweet. I am all over the Bills here. There was a parlay I said I'd get back to earlier. I believe it was from Joe. I think you could tell by our answers, Joe, who would agree with you, because I know the Chiefs +2, I believe, was your parlay piece. So for me, that's a negative because I am on the Bills. I think the Bills do get it done. But this is a game you have to take a look at the injury report. So let me pull up my list here and look at the most recent news that I have. Amari Cooper did not practice again today. That does not make me think he's going to play. He's probably going to be out. Dalton Kincaid officially ruled out. He did not go. So those are two of the big ones in the receiving room we've been waiting for. With him not practicing today, Amari Cooper, I'd be very concerned about him playing. And Bill, I know, brother, it's unbelievable how many times the Ghost turns his TV on. I try my best to make sure you guys don't see it, so I do apologize. But short and sweet for me, I love the Bills in the spot. They've won the last 3 times in the regular season, and the Chiefs don't really turn it on in big games like this until they get to the playoffs. This is going to be the one game they lose in the regular season. They're not going to go 17-0. They will lose one game. This will be the game that they lose. Give me the Bills on the money line. I'm very confident about it.
The Chiefs also the Steelers this year, by the way.
Yeah, they're going to lose one game. They're going to lose one game, and it is to the Buffalo Bills this weekend is my prediction. Jammer, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, just adding on to what Ben just said there, Christmas Day game versus Steelers, 4 days after we play the Ravens or the Eagles, one of those two.
It's tough.
It's a crazy schedule. So, I mean, if there's going to be a game that the Chiefs lose, it's going to be this one. I'm taking the Bills on the money line. Just to bring back something that Ben said earlier, the best win was against the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints have led more this season than the Chiefs have. They've had to lead in the games longer than the Chiefs have had to lead. And the Chiefs have had how many one-possession games versus low-level teams? I mean, they're finally going to get someone that matches up to that. If Amari Cooper plays, that would be huge. But even without him, I think that they have enough pieces to beat this Chiefs team. They haven't showed me a lot. We haven't seen MVP, Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback Patrick Mahomes this year. Still not sure how he's leading the MVP race. Is he leading or is it still Lamar?
For MVP?
MVP, yeah.
He's definitely not leading. I'm bringing it up here. 1 second. He's definitely not leading. It is Lamar is +110, Josh Allen is +400, and then Mahomes is third at +600.
Okay. So it's not as close as I thought, but yeah, for me, I'm going to leak this one early. Bills money line is going to be a best bet for me. I'm not taking them on the 2.5. This has one of those weird, you win by 1 or you go for 2 at the end of the game to win. I like the Bills this week. I got to see it from this Chiefs team. They got to do something. They got to beat a good team, put themselves on the map to show that they're the dominant 10-0 team. And I just have not seen that from them. So for me, it's Bills.
JD?
So this is a very interesting game here. For actually me. Before I looked into anything here, I was like, all right, this is going to be a clear Bills play. And I had notes written out and I was pumped up. I was ready to come on here and just be actually like y'all just actually did. It's going to be Bills actually all day long. I had a ton of reasons why. Then I actually brought my numbers out, and as far as my power ratings and all of that goes, and I make the Chiefs an actual 1-point favorite here. And when my numbers are like this and actually have the underdog as actually the favorite, I just cannot go against that. I did not want to be on the Chiefs here. But it's a play that I have to make. Something, with actually doing this for years now, as far as actually Andy Reid goes, he has a few different books and he has a list of good plays that he some weeks just does not ever bring out. And actually last week was definitely one of those weeks. And I think that they were looking ahead towards actually this game here. this is one of those games where everybody's kind of like, yeah, Chiefs have not been playing well, and even I could even make a case where Chiefs actually really could actually be a 500 team. They actually really could be.
Absolutely.
This is a week I think that Andy Reid he is actually going to bring out those actually good plays, and actually like at the +2.5, I'm actually going to have to side with actually that here.
I have one thing I want to say to you guys. So we keep going over this with teams, and we're like, they really haven't beaten anybody. You take a look at who the Chiefs have played. They really haven't beaten anybody. You take a look at the Bills. They haven't really beaten anybody either. They beat the Colts. They beat Miami. They beat Seattle. They beat Tennessee. They beat the Jets. They beat Jacksonville. They beat Miami. And they beat Arizona. There's really no barn burners on there. And one thing I wanted to bring up is, what is with the talent level in the NFL right now? There is such a lack of good teams in the NFL in this season. It's kind of crazy. You're either really good or you suck. There's not that middle tier group that you think can make a good run. They're just getting going. Like the Cardinals, are they in that? Does anyone believe in the Cardinals? Do they have that talent? It really feels this year that there's such a lack of talent in the NFL. I don't know if I'm the only one who's noticed that, but there seems to be so many bad teams right now. And so many teams have 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. It's the majority of the league are way at the bottom of the stand. It's just crazy how teams are not beating anyone. Like you go through and you say, well, this team really hasn't beaten anybody. That's because there really aren't any good teams in the NFL this year. There's less than 10 that you would consider good, that maybe 5 that you think actually have a realistic chance, when normally around, week 10 in the season, there's a bunch of teams that are making pushes. People have a lot of different theories of which teams are going to make a run. They're getting hot. They're getting healthy. You're not hearing it this year. It's just, is it going to be the Chiefs? Is it going to be the Bills? Or is it going to be the Ravens who play the Lions? That's all it really seems like right now. I wanted to bring that up. What do you guys think about that? Jammer?
I think that we do have one of those mid-level teams that they're right in the middle. Are they going to make the playoffs? Are they going to go tank? We have one of those teams coming up in one of the games that we're about to talk about. But I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of teams down there fighting for those high draft picks.
It's a draft year, and it's a weak draft class.
Yeah, I don't really – go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I'd argue Miami, potentially with Tua now being healthy. They're still probably out of the playoff race just because of how they started. But we know their ceiling, when they
Their
are
defense is shit. They have one of the worst defenses. Like, you can't think Miami's a good team. What are they, 3-7?
Yeah, it was 3-6.
Come on.
Yeah. No, 3-6.
3-6. But you know what I'm saying, though?
I would also argue the Texans, if they can get their receivers healthy, or because Diggs is supposed to come back. I know Collins is out.
Yeah, but that's a team in first place. Like,
is Collins out?
But they're still only 6-4.
Yeah, but
this week.
Or sorry, not Collins, because Collins will be back next week for
Diggs.
sure. I meant. Yeah,
Diggs is out for the year, right?
That's what I meant. Diggs out for the year. Collins coming back. It sounds like this week because he was back next week. But they're a team that I know they're in first place, but they're still 6-4. And if you look at the total AFC, it doesn't feel like that. Just because the point you brought up was it feels like Chiefs or Lions Super Bowl, but I would say there could be in the mix. Not necessarily, I don't know, for a Super Bowl, but at least a sneaky playoff run.
Yeah, my point is that I just think there were more teams that were actually competitive than there are now. There's more teams that are closer to the Giants than they are closer to the Lions and the Chiefs right now, in my opinion. I think there's a real lack of talent in the NFL. But let's move on to our final game, fellas. Our final game of the day, which is going to be the Bengals taking on Jim Harbaugh and his Chargers. Did you guys see Jim Harbaugh last weekend when they kind of showed all the ways he was hyping up Justin Herbert? Yeah. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen watching a highlight film, where he was going around. He was so giddy on the touchdown run by Herbert that he ran to the referee, slapped the ref on the back, and goes, "Did you see that beast?" There's a reason guys love to play for Jim Harbaugh, and there's a reason he gets the most out of his players. He's such a good motivator. He's such a guy that you would run through a wall for. And this Chargers team has arguably a top 3 defense. Not really arguably, they have a top 3 defense this year. What Jim Harbaugh has done in just 10 weeks to this Chargers team is pretty remarkable. On the other side, the Cincinnati Bengals, predicted to be a potential Super Bowl threat. Does anyone think they are? They're 4-6 on the year. They're 3-2 on the road. This is a big game. JD, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, man, just like you said, man, the Chargers, they're just playing well, and they are very well coached. They're also another one of those teams, kind of like you said, is people are saying, well, actually, like, who have they played? Because they really haven't played, actually.
It's the whole league. Every team you say it about,
what I'm saying, though. you can only play actually like who you're slated to actually play. And this like defense, just actually like you said, they are very good. And when the Bengals, if you look back, as far as a good defense, whenever the Bengals have actually gone up against one this year, they have not played well.
Yep.
And this week they are definitely going to go up against one. As far as the Bengals defense, we've talked about it the whole entire year. It is just not good. And this week it looks like they're pretty banged up too. So it might even be worse. And this week they get to face an actual offensive line that is also very good. And I just don't see how the Bengals win this. Actually, this is the number to me is so light here, and I guess it's because everybody's saying like this is a Bengals, like this is basically a must-win game.
It is, yep.
So I guess that's why the number is actually like this. But when you just break it down, I mean, I just don't see a path for actually them to actually win here. I really think this should be in the Chargers actually like -3 range. So for me, as far as their money line here, I actually think it's a great price. And I'm definitely going to be on them.
I like it. I'll go here second, guys. I'm taking the under. With 48 points here, the Chargers game script, what they're going to want to do in this game is run the ball and limit the possessions for the Bengals. That is the best way to beat this team and make Joe Burrow have to be one-dimensional and throw the ball over and over and over to move the ball. And in today's NFL, that is just not a successful way to approach games. I think this one's going to go comfortably under. I think the Chargers win this as well. And when you bring up the injury report, it's all the main defensive cogs for the Bengals that are not going to be there. I mean, BJ Hill in the middle is such an important player to have out there for his run defense. He was playing last week. I heard it at only about 40%, and he single-handedly made so many plays in the middle of that defensive line that he's a crucial player for them. I think this one is going to go significantly under, like I said. I think this game will stay in the 30s, and we have all the way up to 48, and it's definitely one of my favorite plays. Jammer?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I'm on the under as well. The Chargers have, I think it is the best pass defense in the league. So, I mean, if we don't see 268-yard game out of Jamar Chase, I don't think we're going to get a close.
Well, Higgins is back. Higgins fully practiced today. He will be playing in this game.
Yep, it looks like he will be playing. So for me, if the Bengals can't pass, I mean, obviously get the addition of T. Higgins back this week, and we saw what happened last week with Jamar and Joe Burrow. That connection was on point. Fantasy points out the ass.
Up the
but
wazoo.
They don't have a run game. They're bottom 5 in the league in rushing. If they can't get that running game going against this Chargers defense, they will not move the ball. They will be put in obvious pass downs. So for me, it's 100% the under on this. I'm on the under 48 for one of my best bets. I'm going to leak that out as well. I think we see a low-scoring game here. And, yeah, I mean, this was the team that I was mentioning, that mid-level where you're like, can they make the playoffs? Are they going to be down in the draft order? I don't know. I don't think that they're going to win. That heartbreaking loss last week versus the Ravens has got to be stinging. So under for me, it's a best bet.
Oh, man.
Ben, finish us up, baby.
Exact opposite view as Jammer. I love the over in this spot.
What about Ed Alpha, who's also gave out the under?
I think every game we've seen the Bengals play against good teams have produced way more high-scoring affairs than we've seen low-scoring. I mean, both games against the Ravens were in the 60s. Actually, one of them was in the 70s. They went to over 51 with the Chiefs. They went over 70 points with Washington. And then you look at the Chargers, their defense has been really good, but to Alpha's point, you shut down that run game, and then, they have had a decent – they're not the best passing defense in the NFL, to Jammer's point, but they're pretty good. And to Alpha's credit, I don't think the Bengals are going to be running the ball that much in this game, which means the clock's going to be stopped. You're going to get 45 passing attempts from Joe Burrow, which with T. Higgins healthy, we've seen how their offenses looked when T. Higgins is on the field. Like, it looks really, really good compared to when he's not, because it just opens up so much room for Jamar Chase. He's expected to play in this game. And then you have the defensive side of it where Trey Hendrickson, who leads the NFL in sacks right now, he's played even better than TJ Watt, I would argue. He's played better than Myles Garrett, I would argue. He's been one of the best, statistically at least, he's been the highest in sacks. He's second in QB pressures. He's third in QB knockdowns, which is basically as good as a sack because half the time they're completing
Yes, it is.
He's been one of the statistical best players in the NFL getting to the quarterback, and he's probably not going to play in this game. He's a true questionable, and if he does, may not be 100%, might not be as explosive. So I think that's a big thing for this game because Justin Herbert, they haven't necessarily exploded this year on offense, but they have 3 straight games of 26 or more points. 2 of them are against decent defenses. So I do think we actually see a pretty high-scoring game here. I think we see this one end in the 50s.
To be fair, we are seeing the Bengals put up points, but against really bad pass defenses. Remember, we just went over it. Baltimore has statistically the worst passing defense in the NFL, and they are by a lot. So I understand why you would look at that, but I don't think you can compare this type of game to anything with the Baltimore game because they're just two totally different defenses. We're talking about one of the worst in the league compared to one of the best in the league. So we're going to see what happens in this one. I'm super excited for it, but fellas, that's going to do it for breaking down all the games today. We still have a couple things that we need to take care of on the show, as we always do. So let's dive right in, guys. We are counting down the days to the Black Friday sale. It starts today. Every day, guys, is going to be a new sale, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Merchandise launches, crazy sales on subscriptions, and you can book a one-on-one session with a capper to kind of learn what they do and learn more about it. Logan, I saw in the comments earlier in the beginning of the show that you wanted to be a capper. Great opportunity here. Take advantage of that one-on-one training session with a capper. And guys, also, day one is announced right now. New subscribing members only. Get your first month for only $10. $10 to get all the winners. Get in the Discord. It's a huge promo. And remember, every day there's going to be a new promo. So this is the first one that we have. New members only. Get your first month for only $10. Make sure you guys take advantage of that promo. Fellas, we've gotten through everything except one thing. We still have 1,700 people here. And they are all waiting for Jammer's Best Bets, baby. What do we got, Jammer? Kick us off. How many do you have? 1, 2, 9, 40. How many you got?
We're coming in hot with 3. I believe I've already leaked 2 of them, but for everyone who wasn't writing those down, here they are here. Bills money line. I just love them to, ruin that Chiefs parade here. I'm going to be all over them this week. Obviously going to be watching that injury report. Would love if Amari Cooper played. I do think that we will see one of these 2 new additions to one of the teams score in either DeAndre Hopkins or if Amari Cooper plays. I would love to see one of those guys get in there. Would make things very interesting. But Bills money line, my first one. Second one, we just talked about the game. Bengals, Chargers under 48. Sorry, Ben, we will be going under in that game. I think it cruises with that. And then this one, I didn't really talk about it, but I think that this is always one of my favorite plays. Ravens, Steelers, first half under 24.5 points. Very, very, very key number at 24.5. I'm not big on the 23.5 because that's 3 touchdowns and a field goal. For the 24.5, you obviously need 4 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. And I think that's just a lot of points to be putting up against these defenses in the first half. I know that the Ravens typically are a first half team. And the Steelers don't allow a lot of points in the second half. But I think in these divisional games like this, especially the first matchup between the 2, I'm all over that first half under 24.5. So
love it. Ben?
All right. First for me, I'm going Bills with Jammer over there. I do think that this line, the fact that they're favored over an undefeated team tells me everything I need to know in this game. They're gonna cruise, I think, here. And then the Steelers +3. I'm taking the Fighting Jammers. I do believe in them. Just with everything that Russ has shown me in his short time, and then coming off that huge win last week. And the Ravens, I believe they're in a better spot, and I think they can exploit that defense. And then Lamar Jackson, I did cover this one when we covered the game, sticking in the same thing, under 43.5 rushing yards. Those Steelers have been the best team in the NFL at stopping quarterbacks from running. We just saw it with Jaden Daniels last week. And the Daniel Jones the week before. They completely shut down both of them. I get the Highsmith injury might come into play, but either way, the Steelers' defensive line has just been so good at not letting quarterbacks get out of the pocket. And with Lamar dealing with that knee injury, I don't know how much he's going to try and take off. They have Derrick Henry. He might get 25 carries in this game. Who knows? So I really think he stays under that 43.5 rushing yards to end it.
There we go. I'll go next, fellas. My best bets are going to be the Pittsburgh Jammers plus 3.5. I'm taking the Steel Curtain as well. Let's see them cover here. Also, the Cluck bet. So make sure you guys have to tune in next week when you see JD having the lone Cluck up there. We're all excited for that. Second and final best bet is going to be the Bengals Chargers under the 47.5. That's the current line. So I'll give out the exact current line. Let's see a low scoring game there. Let's see the Pittsburgh Jammers win. And let's see that beautiful man right next to me, Cluck. But first, JD, we need your best bets. What do you got?
Yes, we have 3 today. We actually just talked about all these games. Give me the Ravens. Gonna actually take them on the -3 line. I have to take the Chiefs here. Like I said, this is not a play that I wanted to make, but I just have to do it. Give me them. I am actually going to take the spread here. So give me the 2.5 points. And then actually the last game, the way I talked about here, the Chargers. This price to me is very cheap. Give me the Chargers on the money line. And then I got to give a little something extra here. We got, as far as live viewers, we have around 1,800 people here currently. So actually, since y'all stuck around for this long, let's actually go with a college basketball play. I'm going to give y'all Florida and Florida State. Let's actually take the over there. That's at 157.
I love it. Extra bonus college basketball banger from JD to close out the NFL show. We absolutely love it. Guys, remember, Mike Tyson, Super Whale Beluga Max tonight. I'm just kidding. Hope everyone enjoys the fight. JD, Ben, Jammer, it's been a great job. It's been a great week, a great show. Thank you, boys, for doing this with me. JD, say goodbye to the people.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, that's my fault. Everyone take your phones out. Take the screenshots. Producer's yelling at me. That is on me. Get the phones out. And then once this is gone, then, JD, you can say goodbye to the people and give them some words of wisdom.
Can we hear
JD?
me now? Nope.
I can.
Hi. Hey, guys. Alpha wasn't told something in time, so I'm just going to pop in and tell you guys really quick. The sales for day 2 and 3 will be on the MoneyBall Metrics Twitter. So when you come back on Monday, you will be on sale for. Don't miss the ones for this weekend. So make sure you're following the MoneyBall Metrics Twitter, X, Bluebird, whatever you call it, as Alpha says it.
I love that. I love that. Make sure you guys stay tuned. If you couldn't hear Shelby, there will be the sales tomorrow and Sunday on the Moneyball Metrics Twitter. Make sure you guys are stayed tuned, locked in, and find the amazing deals that will be coming. Fellas, like I said, it has been a fantastic show. JD, now say something to the people.
It is Friday. This show is done. We're all done. It is the weekend. Let's all have a great one, and let's fucking win.
Let's fucking win. Ben, you've been smiling and cheesing, so I cannot say, Ben, please smile. But Jammer, say something to the people and smile.
Let's sweep our best bets, except for JD. We're going with the Bills. Come on.
Let's go. Let's get it. Ben, say goodbye to the people as well.
Good luck, everybody. Bet on Mike Tyson.
Jesus, that's what you used your time for?
Yep.
That is what you use your time for. We'll be back on Monday, same time, same place. We appreciate every single one of you. Peace.